Okay, so in this video I want to show you how to use a loop to validate the user's input. Watch this. Okay, I'm going to run this and we're saying how many students are in the class, and I'm being told to enter a number 1 through 24. Let's say I mess up and I accidentally enter 0. Look at it, it's coming right back at me. Number of students must be between 1 and 24. Please re-enter. So let's say I still can't get it right. I enter 25. It's coming back at me. This is an input validation loop. This is very repetitive, is it not? It just keeps coming at me. It's almost like I the user, am in an infinite loop until I can, pull it together and get, enter the correct number. So finally I'll enter 3. Okay, now we're moving on. So it says enter score for student 1. Let's say the student got 98 on the exam. This is what we're getting, the class average, I guess. Enter score for student 2. Let's say that student got 89 on the exam. Enter score for student 3. Let's say that student just didn't show up and they got a 0 on the exam. So the class average for this exam is 62.3. Obviously the 0 drove it way down, but you get the idea. So let's take a look at this code. So we have the number of students I'm getting from the user right off the bat. Okay, and then this is my input validation loop. Okay, I actually have another one in this program that I forgot to demo. We'll get to that in a minute. But okay, so let's say the user enters something wrong, like 0 or 25 or something. It says while num students is less than 1 or num students is greater than 24. So if either of those two things is true, the user screwed up and we have to come right back at them and say, no, enter the number of students. It's got to be between 1 and 24. Okay, so there's your loop. Loops are repetitive, right? So this is just going to keep going and keep coming back at them and just, stopping them cold in their tracks until they can get it right. Okay, so finally, if we made it this far in the code, they did get it right, and we're in business, so we're going to get a running total. We're going to set it to 0. This is called an accumulator variable. This isn't the first time we saw one of these a couple of videos ago. So getting kind of that running total to get an average. I've got a loop counter. Okay. We're saying while loop counter C is less than or equal to the number of students, or num students, we're just going to get that exam score. Now, one thing I forgot to demo here, let me, I've got a second user input validation loop. So let's say I've just got a tiny class of 2 students. Enter score for student 1. So exam scores, let's say will have to be between 0 and 100. So let's say I enter 200 accidentally. See, it's coming, I have another input validation loop here. It's going to keep coming back at me until I can get it right. Okay, and then finally, if you enter between 1 and 100, it allows that value to come in. So yeah, so that's our second input validation loop. While exam score is less than 0 or the exam score is greater than 100, if either of those two things is true, the user screwed up, and we have to ask them again and again and again until they get it right. Okay, so assuming they're getting it right, we're just going to add that exam score to the running total. We're going to increment our loop counter. Okay, so we're not into it and not in an infinite loop. And that's it. So now at this point, notice the indentation. The loop is done. So this is the loop. And notice how it's all flush on the left there. Okay, and then at this point the loop is done. I'm just going to get that average by dividing the running total by the number of students, and that's it. We're going to display the average in an F string to 1 decimal place, and we're done. So that's input validation.